It's an idea from the French Shleimer, and I know in the Melech in the sixth parsha. Will give you a message, an insight, a different, hopefully with Hashem's help, a meaningful Shabbos understanding. What is the avodah of Shabbos Chazon? Before I start with that, I want to share with you a machshava that I have, and it's something I'm sure most of you here will have the same machshava. When we talk about 9 days and the halachas of the 9 days, I don't know where you, Leil, over here grew up, but when I grew up, the 9 days, not only was the halachas of the 9 days, you could feel it in the air. The vibe, people's behavior, people's attitude. I didn't want to say that. And really the 9 days was something very, very draining, if you may say. Today, as the generations go, we have a hard time handling with it. And I'll explain to you why I think it's like that also. And I don't know, maybe in the place where I grew up, it's still like that, but I doubt it. Because as the generations go, things just get deep. I remember Tisha B'Av, a friend of mine knocked on my door, and I was 7 years old, or between 7 and 9 for sure. And maybe before Bar Mitzvah. I don't remember exactly before Bar Mitzvah. I could trace it down, yeah. Between 11 and 12. My father was like, Tisha B'Av, don't play, we stay home. Let me ask you a question in this room. What are you going to tell your kids? No Tavito? You're not watching TV on Tisha B'Av? Who's taking care of the kids? Right? So it's a different generation. But by us, where I grew up, it was mamish, no showers. Today it was halacha, gesundheit, different halachas. I'm not saying it's a different concept. I want to speak about the neshama of the 9 days. The halachas of 9 days is the halachas. But I want to talk about, with Hashem's help in 10 minutes, a takeaway for this Shabbos Chazon. So we're talking about Golos, and we're talking about Avelus. That's the 9 days with the Korban of Beis Hamikdash. We're going at the mourning over it. It is a classic question. It's like, how is it possible for anyone in this room to mourn on something that you never have, you never experienced, you don't even know what you're missing? Yeah, you went to Israel on a nice trip, and you took a family picture behind the kaisel. Like, I don't do the pictures with my family behind the kaisel. I'm like, this is a kaisel, this is the Chorban Beis Hamikdash. Well, that's what I got from a Shishi, but my wife doesn't like it, so I let her take the pictures. But you never find a picture of me with the kaisel. But the concept is that how could you mourn on something? How could you mourn on something if you don't know what you're missing? And trust me, Rav Shach said over, Tifa Vort. We're so busy trying to find the coolest, see him with meat, no meat, this and that. Arachab. Rachman al-Islam, nobody in this room. But if somebody Rachman al-Islam loses a relative, there's still halach Echos Avelus. Rabbi, remember Echos Avelus, the first thing we learned 4 years ago. Right? When you learn Echos Avelus, if somebody Rachman al-Islam loses a relative, there's no question that you're emotional broken. You're going to go ahead and you're sitting on the floor. Maybe one shower of Shabbos, you have a kira if you're allowed to warm or not. That's it. You're not looking out what's a pshat because you really feel Eder, you feel you're missing something. And maybe because you feel you're missing something, you're mourning on something. So how are we, Topshin Pei Vav, how we're going to go ahead and grow from these Tisha Yom? How we're not going to look at it as another burden or restrictions, we can't do it. How we're going to elevate and really, to a certain extent, mourn and to cry, to shed a tear on Tisha B'Av, and to really go ahead and feel the Tsar Shechina. How are we able to do this? So I have a Yeshiva Shipshah. I don't know if it's true or not, but I think there's something to it that I think everybody in this room, to a certain extent, could relate to this. I really want to read the Rambam about Mashiach, about Bnei Beis Hamikdash, Mechakel B'Yosai. I want to speak about that Rambam, but mine's the time is pressed, and I want to walk around with the message. There's a Chazal that says, Kol Mashir LeYosef L'Ir L'Tzir. Whatever happened to Yosef at Tzaddik will happen to Tzir, which means the time of the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash. When you read this Chazal, most people say that it refers to what happened to Yosef. We know Yosef was faced with a big challenge called Eishes Betifar. Yosef himself, Basara, he had a challenge with Eishes Betifar woman, and he overcome. That's why Yosef is considered me to say Yisoid, and the Gemara in Soita, very interesting Gemara over there, how the Gemara talks about the whole story, how she seduced him and tried to seduce him, tried to go ahead, every day different clothing, so Gemara Marichas. And today, that's why they give an explanation for the last 10 years. We all know that we're holding in the footsteps of Mashiach. We consider the era of Imaisa Mashiach, right? The symbols and the signs of the Tanakh, we're seeing it right now. So, Pashut Pshat, people say that Pshat is the Tumah, the challenges of Tumah that we are facing. No other generation in history faced this challenge, right? Whether it's the internet, whether it's the iPhone, or whether it's this, whether it's that, even people, the morality, the levels are so low, and it's really, really, really in our face, which means the standards of a certain class of dignity in the world really is low. And people struggle tremendously. And that's what they say, Kamash Yeli Yosef Yeli Tzion. The Pshat is before the era of Mashiach comes, which is now, with Klal Yisrael, the world will be faced with this challenge more than ever. That's one Pshat. I think that Pshat has now it means another Pshat. The Ramchal writes in Sul Sharm, he says, Parai, when he had Klal Yisrael Mitzrayim. Now we all know by now already a little bit more Chassidish Svarim that Mitzrayim is not just a physical place. Of course it is in Egypt, but the root of the word Mitzrayim is Meitzah, is the boundaries, right? We all know that Parai, he built Trump's wall or China's wall, but he built a real wall again around Egypt, and he didn't allow Klal Yisrael to go ahead and to leave Mitzrayim. But Lamaisi, think about it, and Ramchal really got this question, but really people couldn't figure out for 200 years how to get out, jump over the wall. Arachap, in prison over here in upstate New York, how many times you see watching news that people are able to escape, prisoners were able to escape jail, and over there it's pretty intense, right? They couldn't figure it out. And Pari knew that concern. And Pari knew that Be'etzem, there could be a way out to get out of Mitzrayim. But Pari did something in the core, how to break Klal Yisrael, to make them be bound into Egypt. And Ramchal tells us, he went ahead and he made them work constantly. He made them super busy. But super busy is not enough. People, always busy people, a lot of times busy people are the people that get things more done. Because they're so energetic and they're positive, there's so much energy, they just do more. They don't 5 o'clock goes, okay, I'm going home now. There's no 5 o'clock. The 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, the same thing. They're always busy running. Therefore, they always find time. But the Ramchal says something deeper. Pshat is, he made Klal Yisrael build Pisim and Ramses. He made, this was shown by the way, Perek Aleph. He made them build Pisim and Ramses. To build something, and all of a sudden, it collapsed. But after the building. But it was very deep. What's the Pshat? Pshat is he made that Klal Yisrael will never have a sense of a satisfaction, of accomplishment, of achievement. Pshat is anytime they work hard, it fails. Every time they put effort, building years, kaput, the whole thing's over. What does that do to your mental state? When a person starts feeling failure, and he feels that he's not successful, that goes as a ripple effect. When you don't believe in yourself,